there, and welcome to SOS Stories of Survivors. I'm your host, Serena Dansker, and today we are so fortunate to have a wonderful guest, Linda Stevens. She's going to teach us about learning to love ourselves at any age, in any type of body shape, in any type of mental state. She is just amazing. She's dedicated her life to helping others, especially women going through menopause, rediscover their strength, their beauty, and their spark. Linda is a clinical nutritionist, personal trainer, and former professional athlete. But more than that, she's a voice for anyone, a voice for hope and helping people get through their struggles, looking in the mirror and finding a way to see the beauty in ourselves. In this episode, we're going to talk about how to dive into the emotional and physical changes that come throughout our lives and how to embrace it. And if you've ever felt lost inside of your own body, well, Linda is going to be here to give us the tools to move forward and to fall in love with ourselves all over again. Welcome, Linda. I'm so grateful you're here.
Thanks, Serena. It's so good to be here. It's good to see you.
You too, you too. I want to just get right into this
Sure.
and maybe you can start by sharing a little bit about your own journey, your background, what's inspired you to dedicate your life to helping others through transitions in their bodies.
Absolutely. So when my first career, my first life, I like to say I worked in New York City. I worked on Wall Street. I was on a trading floor. I did that for quite some time when I graduated from college. And then I got married. I had children in my 30s and did the mom thing for a while. So I retired from that hectic life, but I did love working on a trading floor. And you're
Oh,
in
I
the
know.
it was so much fun. And back in the mid to late 90s when things were great and we just were in New York City restaurants and taking clients out to dinner and having a really good time. But then I wanted to slow it down a bit and raise some kids, which I did. I have a son who's 23 who's graduating next weekend from school.
Wow.
I
That's
know.
it. Congratulations.
Thank you. One's out, and I still have my daughter who she'll be 21 in July, and she's graduating this time next year. So she has one more year in Hamilton.
Oh boy, busy, busy.
It is a busy time. It is a busy time, and it's interesting how, and you know this, it's like it's just stages of how much they need you. Obviously, when they're smaller, you've got to do everything for them. But even when they get older, they still need you there, and they call you and ask you lots of questions and about life. And it's interesting because we never had that, right? Going to college, remember there was a payphone on the first floor, and like I never called home. We never texted. There was no, now they're in constant contact, which is okay. But it's the difference is so funny how they have access to us all the time, and we didn't have that growing up.
No, it was fend for yourself, sink or swim, really.
Exactly. Like you were sick, you just kind of stayed there until you got better.
That's true. Wow.
But and then when I was raising my kids, a good friend of mine that is also from our area, from Southern Connecticut, had said to me, you like to work out so much. Why don't you get your personal training certification and come and work for me? And she had some corporate gyms, and she's like, teach some exercise classes for me, and see what you can do it whenever you want to. And if people want you to train them, build your own schedule. So I thought about it and I did it. So did the self course in the National Academy of Sports Medicine. I got my personal training cert, and I started teaching classes for her in Stamford, Connecticut. And then it just kind of grew. And then Serena, it was probably like 42, 43. Right around the same time, I started competing as a competitive bodybuilder.
Wow.
I went back to school and got my master's degree in clinical nutrition because I really wanted to know more about the body. I really wanted to understand like what happens when we eat food, then what happens? How do we build muscle? How do we lose fat? I really wanted more knowledge on that. And I wanted to differentiate myself from just being a personal trainer.
So you did this at 42.
Yeah,
I mean,
back to school.
so you just changed your whole way of thinking, and that's hard to do at that age because you got the kids, the mindset. But I get it because it's something you're passionate about.
Exactly, and I was lucky that I could do it, and so I did. It took me about almost 3 years because I had to take some prereqs. I had to take chemistry. I hadn't had chemistry since high school, and I was in my 40s. So high school was what, 16, 17? I mean,
exactly.
and that was like general chem, and who even remembers any of that? So exactly. It was a challenge. It really was. I thought about quitting a few times because I'm like, this is a lot. and chemistry, organic chemistry, and balancing equations and just nutritional chemistry. And it was tough, but after a lot of tears and deciding that I wasn't going to quit, I hired a chemistry tutor, and that really helped me. That got me through the basics. And then I ended up just finishing the rest of the course load on myself without him, which was great. And I have my degree. And then I really worked with people. I worked with other competitors. I kind of helped people, I helped people lose weight when they wanted to and train them. But then I really turned my business to midlife women, probably right around like late 40s, early 50s, when I started going through my own journey of perimenopause, because
Mm.
I started having a lot of symptoms, and I'm like, what's going on here? And I have to say, no doctor of mine ever mentioned to me any of this stuff. I had
And
no
yeah,
idea.
I definitely, I want to get to, but I want to find out. I know that you've had experience before we get to the midlife stuff. I want to go back just to your experience with the teenage bodies and dysmorphia and your children.
Mhm.
And because I know my children, both boys and girls,
Yes.
had image issues growing up, being in high school, going back to that 16, 17-year-olds, besides all the pressures of school, you have all the pressure to look good at yourself so take me through that so we can go through like a timetable, if you will, and then we'll talk about that, the dysmorphia of the body, just the menopause, because I want to really dive deep into that.
Yeah, absolutely. So you want to talk a little bit more about my experience with my children and body dysmorphia,
Where
or
your children and other children like you help my children too. I mean, I just, and also the effects about your own effect, your own, competing and competition. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about social media's impact on our bodies as well.
absolutely. And when you and I grew up, because I think we're a similar demographic. You might be a little younger than me. I'm 57, but
Same age. I'll
okay.
be 57 in June.
Okay. So, when we grew up, we had magazines, right? Mademoiselle,
Yep.
Cosmopolitan, Vogue, there were a lot of magazines back then. So
Oh yeah.
it was a thing back then, like body image back then. It was a thing because all the models on the covers of the magazines were super thin, and everything you looked at inside, everybody was super thin. So, we had it in that respect. But I
I
would say,
remember the diet pills that were big back then.
yeah, what was it? Yeah, I can't think of some of the names of them, but I remember like there were a lot of like diet pills and like shakes and things that people would drink, and just kind of weird diets and cabbage diets and all kinds of weird stuff that people were doing to lose weight.
Yep. Yep.
And even wearing like the plastic suits and stuff,
Yes.
sweat more. And so, we had that. Like, and when the magazines would come out, plus they were all over the grocery store, they were everywhere. So it was kind of hard to escape it then, but you could. But I mean, now with phones, I mean, you're faced with it every second of every day.
Oh, for sure.
You pick up your phone, and there's so much out there, and there's just so much information in general that comes at you all day long. It's like, it's what do they say? It's like drinking from a fire hose. It can be overwhelming. And you know these kids, and our kids are, my sons, our kids are 21. Your group
Yeah,
is
my kids will be 21 in July.
right. Same with my daughter, because Lexi and Erica are friends. That's
Yeah,
how we know each other. But
that's right.
They see that all the time on social media and TikTok and Snapchat.
Yes.
And I really think once TikTok came into play too, that really, really affected kids a lot, because they were all on it, and it was just
And,
being
and
fed.
Photoshop, they thought
Yeah,
their bodies were real.
I
And,
know.
it's just crazy.
And they're just constantly fed that stuff, and they're looking at it all the time. And then, of course, when COVID hit and they were forced to be in, and
Mhm.
everybody was attached to their phone, I mean, that's all that they saw, were people
Okay.
working out, people looking thin, people scantily dressed and wearing all kinds of stuff, and girls doing these programs, exercise programs, kind of crazy eating habits, cutting out carbs, not doing this. So it definitely is. I always talk to people, when I talk to women that have young kids, I tell them, like, here's one piece of advice I will give you as a parent of older kids:
Yeah.
keep them off social media as long as you possibly can.
Mm.
And that is like the biggest thing. Keep them off the devices and the phone for as long as you can. And you see little kids and stuff with iPads and phones, and it's like, I just, it makes me it just makes me feel a certain way. And it's not a judgment call, but
No.
I would put my kids in front of like baby Einsteins or,
Yes, I did the same thing just to get a break for a moment. And
yeah,
I understand where they're coming from, but it has such a negative effect on the kids, these iPads. And
it really does. And to see them not like being outside and socializing with friends and doing those kind of
yeah.
things, texting, like I've said to my children, why don't you call, so and so? And they look at me
Right.
like, why would I do that? I just text them.
I know
Because if you call
exactly.
them, you could have a conversation in like a minute versus you text back and forth 100 times. Like, I don't get that rationale.
I know. I sometimes people start texting. I'm like, I'm gonna just call you because
Exactly.
I can't type that fast.
I exactly. I'm even like that with my clients. I'm like, let's just jump on a call for 5 minutes so I can tell you what I
Yeah.
need to tell you, or you can ask me, and then you hear but you also hear the inflection in my voice
Yes.
and context, so you don't take it out of context.
Absolutely. I think that's so important. And just, just building relationship. And I mean, it's really changed how we view ourselves, our mindsets, and body image. I remember my boys even coming home, Mom, I need muscles, I need to impress the girls, I
I
need a
know.
six pack. They had these six pack things, like this mindset they had to do. It was
I know.
crazy.
Same. Even the girls too. I want abs. I want a bigger butt. I want abs. I want this,
Yes.
that.
When I was growing up, you didn't want your butt big. So when my daughter would ask me, Mom, is my butt looking big? I'm like, oh no. And she's like, oh. I'm
I
like,
know.
what?
I know. You're like, wait, how do you want? Do you want it to look big or you don't want it to look big? Let's just first tell me what you want. But
Exactly.
I know. I mean, they're faced with it, and I think COVID really was very hard on all kids.
Yeah.
Some
Oh,
kids harder than others, but it definitely forced them to be more into the phone. And then I'm just concerned about what they were being fed from different places and parts of the world and whatnot. And it shapes their thinking. It shapes their thinking, and in some cases, it was even turning kids against their parents. And it
yeah.
was, it's a gift and a curse. Social media
Mm,
is a gift and a curse. It's great because I use it for my business, and it's awesome. It allows me to get my message out to people that I might not be able to reach, which is awesome. But if I didn't need it for business, I probably wouldn't even use it at all because I didn't grow up with it, and it's not something I
right.
feel like I need in my life. But these kids, it's part of their upbringing, it's part of their lives, so they need to learn how to, I think, balance it and understand, what's real and what could be, like you said, photoshopped or just
Right. And are there
controlled.
any like tips maybe for fitness or nutrition, or to build confidence in these kids rather than feed into their unhealthy
Yeah,
ideals, that are being
absolutely,
fed to them?
absolutely. I'm a big advocate of kids, getting in the gym and working working in like a group setting. I know there's a lot of places that have like training sessions for kids. Do that stuff. Like, we lived in the same area. When my kids were little, I took them to tumblebees at the YMCA, and we did all kinds of stuff where they could jump and run and just be kids and bang into each
Yeah.
other and, playground. I did a lot of playgrounds with my kids when they were little, but I would say, get them into a gym setting, get them working out so that they know that feeling of having a strong body which makes your mind strong, and you
Yeah.
release all those positive hormones that make you feel kind of invincible and good. Like when you walk out of the gym after a hard workout, you're like, yeah, I got this,
So
and
true.
yeah, and it's important for kids to have that feeling so that it'll help them if people are trying to bully them or push them around. And it also sets them up for good habits. So when they become adults, they're not constantly fighting, trying to lose weight or trying to
Mm.
get in shape. Like going to the gym has just always been part of their routine, working in a gym, exercising, running, jumping, sprinting, lifting weights, whatever it is, right? It's,
It's
they'll
so
carry
good.
that through their lives.
It's like a self-love kind of thing too,
Yeah,
because I know when my kids are going through exams and they're so stressed out and they have all this anxiety, they're dying because they need to get to the gym. They're like, I have no time to get to the gym, and just it's like a release.
absolutely. It totally is. It definitely brings cortisol down, brings your blood pressure down. It makes you sleep better, you rest better. It's just, I mean, the benefits are endless. And when they understand that and they make the connection that when I exercise, even if it's just going outside and running, like Erica loves to run, it just really frees her mind. It's it's empowering for them because they're like, okay, I know if I'm stressed, I need to move my body. And then that
Yeah.
helps me lower the stress and figure out a logical answer to a problem I may be having.
It's true. And then, with that, once your body starts, you feeling good, you tend to want to follow that by having healthy habits for nutrition. You know,
Exactly.
I think one leads to the other, and it makes you hopefully make better decisions about what you're fueling your body with. Yeah, I remember they would come home and they would make these shakes, and I'd be like, "Ooh, that looks good."
I know it is. It's exciting when you see your kids taking care of themselves.
Yeah.
It's a night as a parent. It's like, okay, that's great, and it's it's just something, like I said, they'll carry through their entire life, and that's what we want. We want them to be healthy,
Yes.
sleeping well, like taking care of themselves, so that when they get to like be our ages, it's not like, oh my god, the wheels are falling off the wagon. I don't know. Why do I feel terrible? It's
Right.
they'll know how to manage, and they'll be more aware of their bodies too, as far as, okay, this doesn't feel right. Maybe I should talk to someone about this. Get something fixed, or and just understanding, even girls, like this is going to be the trajectory of your life. You're going to have hormone fluctuations as you go through certain periods of time, so they should understand this stuff, and the earlier the better, I think.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I'm a big proponent of it. I know as teenagers, when you're going through the mental stress and everything, school and just friends and the sports and all of that, sometimes you just need time for yourself too. And that exercise or that workout really helps you work through things. It's just it gives you the endorphins in a different capacity, if you will.
Absolutely. I mean, I notice it with myself too. If something's on my mind and weighing on me, and I feel kind of emotional about something, you can't make a good decision when you're feeling emotional about something. It just doesn't happen. But if you can step away, I always tell myself, all right, let's just step away for a little bit. Let's do something else, distract your mind, get in the gym, have a workout, do some work, and then revisit it. And then when you revisit, you're like, oh, okay, this is what I need to do. And it's such a different place to come at stuff from than being kind of going down a rabbit hole, feeling dramatic or emotional.
Well, yeah, those rabbit holes they go down. I mean, I saw some of Lexi's friends had bulimia and
Mhm.
anorexia, and it was kind of scary. I mean, it's crazy.
And I
Yeah,
think also too, when they see their friends getting like super thin like that, I think it affects them in a sense of, well, I feel like I'm too big, or I feel like I need to lose. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
it just becomes this this
vicious
cascade
cycle.
of
Yep.
all of them kind of just, well, she's super thin, so I should be super thin. And you just see it. You see it a lot more now, and it's probably because of social media. Like we didn't see it growing up.
No,
Sometimes you'd see someone with an eating
right,
disorder,
right.
sometimes, and then it was always like, whoa, like everybody would stop and be like, whoa.
Yeah.
Now it's you see it more. You see it more.
Yeah, and that plays into mental health. I mean, it's a big I think there's such a direct correlation between your diet, your physical activity and your mental, healthiness. All of it, ropes together, and that's probably like a good segue for us to segue into midlife, menopause, reclaiming the power as we get older, because habits that you form as a child or as a
Mhm.
teenager, when you're going through things as an adult, old habits die hard. If you ate your way through your problems, then you're probably eating your way through your problems now. And I'd love to hear, your thoughts on why so many women get caught off guard by menopause and this whole thing.
I, you know, the reason that so many women get caught off guard with the hormonal changes that we go through, starting like in your late 30s, it starts in a like pre-menopause. It starts there. And when I look back at the trajectory of my life, I noticed, I'm like, oh, you know what? When all that stuff was happening, that's what it was. But no one ever said anything to me. And
Mhm.
I think why we struggle so much, Serena, is because no one gave us any information.
Right.
I My OBGYN, love her to death, but never talked to me about any of this stuff. Never. Not after I had my kids with her, nothing. And my none of my doctors, internists, GPs, no one ever said anything about menopause or hormone fluctuations, or you might start to feel some of these symptoms. If you do, let me know. We can discuss it.
Right.
Nothing. I mean, and I really remember at 48 having a hard time, like kind of with mood and just my cycles coming sooner and then PMS coming sooner and just being like, okay, I only got one good week out of the month kind of thing, right?
Yes,
Like 2 weeks
exactly.
of like PMS and then a week of having a cycle and then one good week and then you're rolling right back into you're like, why am I feel like I'm losing my mind all the time?
That's
So
right.
yeah, and that's I think the biggest reason is that we just don't have the education. Granted, it's a lot different now. A lot of doctors are talking about it. You've got doctors like Mary Claire Haver are talking about it. There's Sarah Gottfried talking about it. Dr. Erica Schwartz talking about it. There's a lot of podcasts. There's a lot more information now. But I think it's still confusing for a lot of women because the women that I work with and the women that I talk to all the time will always say to me, you know what, I hear all this stuff and I don't know. Do hormones cause cancer? And I'm not
Mhm.
really sure what I should be eating. I don't even know what stuff, like people have a lot of information now, but they're still confused.
Yeah.
So what I aim to do is say, okay, let's sit down because I listen to all that information and I read and I research and I go to lectures and I talk to a lot of doctors and I tell them this is what we're going to do. We're going to sit down and put a plan together for you based on what you're going through, what your blood work looks like, what your DEXA scan looks like, and then
Because
let's
everyone's different, right? Everybody is
exactly.
different.
Exactly. And then let's put together, I'm going to break it down for you. And then I'm going to deliver it to you and go, okay, this is what we're going to do. And then that's the piece that I play. I will disseminate all that information and then say, okay, here's your plan. Let's get started. And then as we go along the journey, we'll change, modify whatever we need to do. But it's women just need the structure. They need to know how much protein should I really be eating? Like how
Right.
many times a day should I be eating? And lots of different questions. Should I cut out carbohydrates? No, don't cut out food groups. What kind of vitamin D? Definitely. Most of us, even men, are all deficient in vitamin D. So we need to make sure we're getting enough of that. That goes right to our bone health and
Mhm.
immune health. So there's just so many different components, but I think it's confusing because it's like people just don't know. Like, what do I do? What do I eat?
Yeah,
How
you
do I
don't.
exercise? I think I'm lifting weights, but I'm not sure if it's heavy enough. So,
Or how many reps to do,
mhm,
that's where it gets confusing. And you talk to your friends. Oh, what did
yeah,
you do? Oh, well, I started doing collagen. And I'm like,
right.
well, what's that? Yeah.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
how does that help? And people, oh, well, I'm doing Pilates or I'm going to the gym and I'm lifting, or you're supposed to do cardio. And I
Right.
honestly, I hate cardio.
I know. I know. It's a necessary evil, but I understand. But you're
Oh,
right. And it's, people will say, well, I do Pilates. And I'm like, that's great. That's great for bone. That's great for joint mobility and stretching and flexibility. But you really have to get in the gym too and move some weight around too, because that's just really going to stress your muscle and your bone and force it to stay strong. And for women, for us, I mean, guys get osteoporosis too, but not so much because they have some estrogen, but they don't have that much estrogen. We have way more estrogen and ours will eventually plummet. And then we've got to do things to counteract that and to work against it.
yeah, no, absolutely. Are there any myths about aging that talk to women about, or?
I think people say sometimes, I guess I'm just getting old, and they're in their 50s, and I'm like, what? Like what? You're only like 53, 4, even 57, even 60. I'm like, you're as old as you feel,
Right.
and you shouldn't. You should. Your body is an amazing machine. So if you fuel it, if you hydrate it, if you rest it, if you move it, yes, we're going to get older and our face is going to look a little different. Our skin's going to get a little bit different, but you should still be able to walk, bend down and pick something up, reach for something, not fall down. But if you did stumble, you have the capacity to correct yourself before you hit the deck and break a hip or a wrist or something, right?
Right.
So,
Right. Yeah.
but you've got to do some work. We have to do work.
Yeah, the balance and all of that is so important. And I mean, can you talk a little bit about hormones and how you can optimize that for your confidence? I mean, even your libido, your
Yeah.
energy. I mean, all of that stuff comes into play here as we age. I hear a lot of my friends saying, I got no libido anymore, or
Right.
and it's kind of like crazy. And, and it also plays into your mental health because you
Mhm.
still want to find yourself desirable and attractive and, and all of that.
It's so true. And getting the 50s is kind of almost like the gateway. It's like all this stuff starts to happen to us in our 50s. And then I feel like it can go one way or another. You can either be proactive and take charge and do certain things, and I'll mention what they are, and I'll talk about what I've been doing from my own personal health journey. But take charge and try to counteract stuff and be proactive, or you can kind of just let stuff play out, and it's probably not going to be so good as the years come and go. It's just not.
Right, right.
And it's biological. We're all losing our hormones, so it's not like some people are just lucky and they get to keep theirs and other people don't. But we're all losing our hormones. And I'm an advocate of doing a blood panel. Do a
Mhm.
blood panel, find a doctor. If you can't find a doctor, talk to me. Lots of ways to get it done. Don't let your doctor tell you that it's not necessary or it's not important. I even had one client tell me her doctor said, "Why would we do a hormone panel? That's stupid." And I'm like, I'm like,
Really?
why would he say that? Like, and she's like, no exaggeration. But do a blood panel so that you can at least, and yes, your blood, if you draw your blood every day, things will change every day, right? It's not going to be, it's just a picture at that time in that moment, right? However, if your estrogen's low or tanked out, or your progesterone, your testosterone, if your thyroid's not working right,
Yeah.
it's going to tell you, you're going to know. So it's not like you're going to be fine one day and the next day you're going to be in the tank. It's going to be low, even if you test it every day.
Right,
So
right.
start with a panel. Start with a blood panel and talk to someone that knows how to read it and understand what's going on in your own biology. Okay, your estrogen is low, your progesterone's low, which might explain why your sleep is now poor. Your sleep used to be good, but now you don't sleep great. You toss and turn, you wake up, you can't get back to sleep. Your metabolism's low, you can't get that midsection belly fat off, or you're
Right.
carrying it on your thighs and butt or your arms, wherever you carry your body fat, right? And you're feeling like, what is happening to me? And your testosterone is low, which testosterone affects your libido. When I ask women that, how's your libido? And they shake their head, they look up,
Yeah.
thumbs down. And I know right away, I'm like, all right, your testosterone's probably low
Right.
or in the tank. And understanding what these numbers tell you is going to tell you how to proceed.
Mhm.
And yes, there are supplements, there are natural ways to help yourself feel better. Definitely like adjusting your lifestyle. That's where I'm like, okay, how do you eat every day? Let's look at that. Okay, look, you're only getting like 50 grams of protein a day. We need to bump that up. You need to make sure you're eating more throughout the day so you have energy. You're giving your mitochondria, your cells, the energy to do all the things your body wants to do every day. Just beating your heart, pumping your blood, and blinking your eyes and breathing. That all takes calories. People don't think about that, right?
No, and they're so afraid to eat because they think
I
they're gonna
know.
get fat, but it's actually the opposite. The more you eat, right,
Mhm.
the more you're actually doing good for your body. Your body's able to
Exactly.
process it.
Exactly. And the more you eat, if you're trying to lose weight, you have to eat to lose weight because your body is smart. If you're only going to feed it once a day, your metabolism is going to, okay, let's just drop way down here. And then when you do go out to dinner and you have, a cocktail and a burger and fries, and you get up in the morning, you're like, oh my God, my weight's up 5 pounds. Why is that? Because your body just holds on. It's like, well, we
Yeah.
don't know when you're going to feed us again. So we're gonna pack it on. We're going to hold it. And you're like, I eat once a day. I can't get this weight off. And it's like, well,
Yep.
yeah, you're not eating enough. Your body is in conservation mode. So we need to turn that off. But in a midlife woman, that's also too where I say, let's look at your thyroid. Like, let's see what's going on with your thyroid hormones. And there are a few thyroid hormones that you should look at, not just thyroid stimulating hormone, which is the only thyroid hormone they'll pull on a metabolic blood panel. If you just go in fasted and do glucose and red cells, white cells, liver enzymes, all that, they'll just look at thyroid stimulating hormone. They won't go down to free T3 and free T4, which is what you want to look at because that's going to tell you how how healthy your metabolism is. You want to look at those two.
Oh, okay.
And then, with estrogen slowing down, we tend to store more body fat and it affects our bones. We're losing muscle tissue. Our cognitive health suffers. Our heart suffers.
Yep.
The number one killer of midlife women, postmenopausal women, is heart disease, not breast cancer. And
Really?
everyone seems to think it's breast cancer, but it's
Yeah.
heart disease. because as we make less and less and less estrogen, our hearts are covered in estrogen receptors, and the estrogen keeps our heart healthy and strong. And when estrogen starts to get lower, now those cells aren't getting what they need, and then that's when we become more susceptible to heart disease. Higher cholesterol. A lot of women in midlife will say, "I never had high cholesterol. Now my cholesterol's up.
Yes.
I never had high blood pressure. Now my blood pressure's up." That's because estrogen is on the descent, and that's why it's important to see these numbers, and then change your lifestyle. Make sure you're eating the right types of foods. Make sure you're exercising, strength training to hit the bones and the muscles.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got to use some certain supplements in midlife. I love to use with women that help. And then it may be at that point, once we fixed all those things, it may be like, okay, you know what? Now you really probably should talk to a doctor, a hormone doctor, not an endocrinologist, probably not your OBGYN, probably not your general practitioner, a doctor that does hormone replacement every single day with women, that really understands it and knows how to dose you and then bring you up slowly until you get to optimization, or where you are feeling like your old self again, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, no, but that's what you want. You want to be you.
Yeah.
You know?
And then you get all those benefits: the cardio protection, the cardiovascular protection, the cognitive health, and the bone health. Which the hot flashes and the hot flashes and the night sweats may eventually go away on their own. Maybe not, but usually they will. But we don't know what's going on with inside our brains, our bones, and our heart, because you can't see that every day. So
no, but they do get more. I know, my mom would, her bones were more brittle, for lack of, I don't know, calcium or whatever.
Estrogen. Yep, estrogen. I mean, they all play a role in bone strength, but I mean, estrogen is the big one, because it's the hormone that we have. It's our big hormone, but we do have testosterone, and testosterone definitely plays a role in bone health and cardiovascular health and brain health. And it helps counteract that fat loss and your libido. Start using a little testosterone, your libido will definitely turn around. So
that's so good. Now, at what age would you say you would, start a program? I mean, would you start from a youth? Would you start getting on the vitamins, or what do you recommend for people?
I would say this for girls, as early as you can, start them. Even if they're little kids, like, feed them well. There's the food supply, although I hope things are starting to get a little bit better with getting some of the food dyes out and the petroleum-based stuff that I've been reading about. But, teach your kids good eating habits at home while they're young. That is the key. And, I did that with my kids. They ate vegetables. People would say, "How do you get your kids to eat broccoli?" I'm like, "I don't know. I just feed them. I just fed them. And if they didn't want to eat, I'm like, all right, then go to bed."
Yeah, exactly.
It's not a restaurant. I'm not making you something different.
I had friends sneak it into the brownies and the chicken.
Yeah, you know what I would do? I gave them a choice. Do you want green beans or broccoli? Oh, I want broccoli. Okay, cool.
Okay.
They felt like they had an opinion, even though they really didn't. But feed them, get them eating all foods, and it's okay for them to have treats. They should, kids should have ice cream and have treats, but you just got to read ingredients. Like I did a lot of shopping at Trader Joe's, and I'd bring them with me, and I'd let them pick their snacks, because I feel like some of their snack stuff was a little bit better.
Yeah.
So I would let them pick things, but I never let them eat like fruit roll-ups or stuff with lots of food coloring and dyes in it. I just never did it, because my dad was a chemist growing up, so I had a little bit of an idea about, stuff, but before I studied nutrition, I mean, I didn't really know that. I didn't know that much, but
I had no clue. It just,
but, I say now, like, when parents take care of themselves, kids see that, as you know, and they mimic what we do. So if they see you working out at home, or they see you going to the gym, or they see you going for a run, like, your kids are going to be like, I want to do that stuff. Like, they pick up our habits. So show them good habits, so they'll pick those up.
That's really good.
And then I think, we have daughters in our 20s, and I actually want Erica to do a hormone panel, because I just want to see where she's at in her 20s.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe she does another one again sometime in her 30s, but you always have that kind of that baseline. So someday when she's in her 50s, she could be like, "Oh, look, this is where I was here in my 20s and now I'm here in my 50s, and you can see the difference. But
I think that's brilliant,
really,
actually, because you do that, even every 10 years, like a colonoscopy,
yeah,
every 5 or 10 years, or whatever your health, your nutrition and your fitness is part of that.
absolutely. And I think always having a baseline, and doctors will probably look at you if you're crazy, but you can get labs drawn different. You don't need to go through the doctor. You can get it done lots of different ways now. But I think that's important is, have that baseline. And then what you can do is, as you get older, you start to see your hormones maybe starting to come down a little bit. Maybe at that point you start a little therapy earlier on so that you can sort of keep yourself level. And it's that you can have that dialogue with your healthcare practitioner so that
Yeah.
you don't have to suffer. It's hard. It's My symptoms were, I had a lot of joint stiffness, body aches, body pains, lower back pain, shoulder pain. My sleep was garbage, and I was always a good sleeper, and
Right.
just fatigue, that just constant tired. So I never had night sweats or hot flashes, and anxiety. I developed panic attacks.
Oh God. But nobody talked about this stuff. Like it was taboo, There was no conversations about what was going on. I mean, my menstrual cycle went berserk. I mean, it was crazy. To the point where I thought I was hemorrhaging at some points. And I was just
Mhm.
like, is this normal or is there something really wrong with me? And eventually figured it out. I was starting menopause
Yeah,
or
I know.
premenopausal,
Absolutely. And just, a little bit of hormones can make a big difference. And there's a bunch of myths out there too. And I always recommend everyone read this book. It's called Estrogen Matters. And it's written by Dr. Blooming, I believe, Bluming. Estrogen Matters by Dr. Blooming. And it's a great book. And it just goes through why estrogen is so important for us. It debunks all the myths that using bioidentical estrogen causes cancer or breast cancer. It
Mm,
does not. And the studies are out there. If you pick up the book, he lists every single study that shows it does not cause cancer.
yeah.
And so it's a great book. It'll really give a woman a really good idea of what the mainstream medical tells us versus what's really true. Because
Hmm.
doctors are still telling people taking hormone replacement therapy will cause cancer, and it doesn't. That's
Yeah.
old news.
Right.
It's a myth. It's been debunked time and time again, but you still hear doctors spout it, and
It's true.
it's frustrating because they're not doing their patients any service by that. And like if your knee's bothering you, your doctor is gonna send you to an orthopedist, right? So
Right.
if your hormones are bothering you, why don't they say go to this hormone doctor and get yourself checked out? And again, it's not going to be your endocrinologist. I'm not throwing shade on doctors. I am not a doctor. They are way smarter than I am.
Yeah.
However, it's not going to be an endocrinologist. It's just not going to happen.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I remember, fighting with my husband. I was like, it's so hot in here, and he'd be freezing under the covers. And then all of a sudden, I'd be cold and I'd steal the covers from him.
I know it's a real thing.
It is.
It's like, oh my God, is it hot in here? I'm like, I dress in layers now. I walk around in the winter like this. And they're like,
And
are you cold? I'm like, nope, I've got an internal heater. I'm good.
he'd be like, no, no, honey, it's you. Like, okay.
I know, but as women, we have to self-advocate. And
You do.
any woman listening to this, if your doctor tells you it's not necessary, it's stupid, it's too late, the window's passed for you to use hormone, it's garbage. Don't listen to it. Find somebody that's willing to have the conversation so that you can ask questions. You should never feel badly be made to feel badly by your doctor about asking
No, you have to advocate for yourself.
yeah,
Because they're not God. They don't know everything. And
right.
they make mistakes too, a lot, it's crazy, but I agree with you. It's always good to get somebody who specializes in these things.
Absolutely, absolutely. I've been on my own hormone replacement therapy. It's probably about 2 years now. I think it'll be 2 years in August or September. But it's really, I have to say, it's been a game changer. It really has.
Yeah.
And all the aches and pains went away, and the anxiety went away, and I sleep better, and my libido's great, and I feel like myself. I'm strong in the gym, and you know, it's not to say that sometimes I get a tweak here and there, whatever, but for the most part, it's so much better. It's so much better.
That's so awesome. Yeah, that's definitely something I'll have to talk to you about,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
and get your contact info, because I'm definitely always interested in that, and especially as you get older, just learning, getting the panel done. I haven't done a panel. I've been
Yeah.
going through my doctor's recommendations, or I had a holistic doctor, that I would talk to about estrogen replacement, but not
Yeah.
actually doing the hormones. Um, and it's helped, absolutely. But
Yep.
I'm always open to to bettering myself and learning more. If you could send a message to your younger self and also your future self, the 80-year-old Linda,
No.
what would it be?
I would say if I could send a message to my past self, knowing what I know now, I would have been much more vigilant about finding out what was going on. And no one really talked about hormone replacement therapy, but it was around. It was around. It was around when our moms were growing. My mom was on Premarin. I remember her being on Premarin and Prempro, and then that's when they yanked everybody off it because they said it caused cancer and all
Right.
those. That's where that comes from. That women's health initiative. And then they yanked everybody off the hormones, and then they did nothing. Like they just, I remember watching my mom, just like she has, she's got bad osteoarthritis, but she was having night sweats and hot flashes. But I would say, be more proactive, I would have done a blood panel. I would have uh, learned to understand my own biology more. So for sure. And my 80-year-old self, I would say keep moving. I want to keep lifting weights, and I want to still be in the gym when I'm 80, 85, 90, 100.
I
So
think it's beautiful. I really do. I think that's awesome. Well, let's lighten it up a little bit and let's do some fun questions.
sure.
So, um, a morning workout or an evening workout? What's your favorite?
I prefer like later morning. When I lift, it's usually like 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock is nice. I don't, I've never been one to get up I'll get up early and do cardio, like walk or get on my elliptical. I do that a lot. If anybody follows me on social media, they'll know I'm always on there in the morning giving some information. But lifting weights, I like to just get up and get moving, get the blood flowing before I start moving weight, just because my body responds better that way.
That's so cool.
But as long as you do it, whatever works for you, just do it.
Yeah,
Early, middle of the day, nighttime, whatever it is, get it done.
your favorite self-care ritual that instantly boosts your mood. What do you do to boost your mood when you're feeling down?
I love to get a really good pedicure, and
Ooh.
I have them do like the extra foot rub. Like I do 15 minutes, 20 minutes on each foot. I'm out cold. I fall asleep. Nothing like a good foot massage, foot rub. I would
That's
have to say that's one of my favorite things. I don't
I'm
do it
right there
enough.
with you.
Yeah.
I love that too. um, one thing you wish every teenage girl knew about her body.
That her body is an incredible machine that needs to be well taken care of
Mm.
through nourishing it with food and self positive talk, self love,
Oh, isn't
right?
that the truth, boy? Yeah, it's so true. Okay, this is a fun one. Your favorite empowering song that you blast when you need a lift. What's your favorite song?
Erica's gonna laugh. If Eric, my daughter, if she watches this, she's like that one song, I'm invincible. I'm like a Porsche with no brakes. That one.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
don't know the title, but every time that would come on, and I've used it a lot in some of my social media posts. She's like, "Mom, every time I hear that song, I think of you."
yeah.
But it
That's
is.
so
It's a
fun.
good song. It's like,
It's a
yeah,
good
I'm strong. I can get through anything. I can do this.
That's it. Yeah, I listened to that. What is that? The Planton's Rachel Planton. I listened to that one, the fight song.
Yeah, that's a good
I
one
like
too.
that one too.
There are some good ones out there. Of course, you know what? I don't know titles. I just listen to
Me
stuff.
neither.
I don't even know who sings it. I don't know the name of the title. It's like
But I could
I'm
sing you
not
every word in the song.
so true.
That's so funny. I don't know. That's really funny. Okay, coffee, tea, or green juice? What's your go-to?
Oh, I do love a good strong cup of black coffee, like a good
Mm.
dark roast. Yeah, it is. I enjoy that in the afternoon. I'll usually have some coffee around 1 o'clock, and you know what, I sit quiet when I have it. Like the phone's on mute. Either if it's nice, I sit outside or sit on in a comfy chair, and I just enjoy that coffee. I don't know. It's relaxing. I know that sounds funny because it has caffeine in it, but I find it very relaxing.
It sounds actually really enjoyable.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny. What's the best compliment you've ever received?
I would say when people tell me I look younger than I am.
Yeah.
That's a big compliment. You know why? Because I work hard at taking care of myself,
Mm,
and I feel like that's just a testament of what I'm doing is working.
yeah. Yeah. That's so true. And one thing you hope women remember about themselves, even on their hardest days, because we all have them, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. I would, even on the hardest days, personally, what I do is I tell myself, I got this.
Mm,
I look back and I'm like, I've been through worse. I've survived these things. I'm still standing, and I'll survive this too. So it's just a matter of, I've made it to 57. I've raised 2 kids. Like,
yeah.
I've been through a lot, and I can handle whatever else is coming.
Oh, that's true. You got to remember, you have hope,
Yeah.
and no, sometimes you got to get through the storm to see the rainbow on the other side.
What do they say? It's darkest before dawn.
Yes, yes, it's true. So true. Well, I want to definitely ask you, or, for every woman listening, whether they're 16 or 60, um, what's a message you want them to take away from today, that they can carry with them?
I want them to, cherish their bodies, and do that through respecting yourself enough. Yeah, it's, you want your hair to look nice and dress nice and have nice things, but take care of your body, respect your body, and nourish it, and take good care of it, and be proactive about it too, because your body may tell you things, and don't ignore it. If your body's telling you something, if it's telling you it's hungry, you should eat. If it's telling you you're tired, rest it. If
Yeah.
it's something's bothering you, get it checked out. Like, listen to your body when it tells you things, but treat it like it is. It's a precision machine. And I always say, I know this is a car term, but if you have a Lamborghini or a Ferrari, or you're not going to pull into the gas station and dump 87 octane in it. So why would you treat your body like that? Your body is a precision machine, just like an expensive sports car or even an expensive handbag. You would take care of it. Whatever you do, you're not going to take it to a football game or what I mean, but just be
What a,
proactive.
what a
Sleep
great
is
analogy.
right.
That's
Like,
awesome.
it's so true. Like, just think about before you ingest something or do something, like, is this going to harm me or heal me? That's how I always like to look at it.
I love that. I really do. I think that's so amazing. And if people want to connect with you, Linda, and learn about midlife mastery and follow your work, how do they get in touch with you?
They can go right to my website, because and I'll give you my address. When my website comes up, there's a little box that'll pop up, and I always offer a 30-minute complimentary conversation. And
Oh,
there's never any obligation. I'm happy to talk to people. If they want to work with me, that's awesome. But if they don't, that's okay too. But my website is Linda M. Stevens with a PH. So it's Linda M. STEPHENS.com.
wow.
Or
That's so
my
good.
Instagram. My Instagram too is Linda Stevens Fit, FIT.
I'm going to definitely take you up on that 30
Yeah,
minutes. I'm going to join it. Every one of my listeners should do it too.
absolutely. It's, I can always offer, I can give them a lot of information, and I can give them some things that they can do preliminary if they're having hormone stuff going on. Like, here, do some of this stuff. It will help. At
Yeah.
least so.
I think that's so awesome. And usually I close out each show with a poem from my son, Scott. Um,
Oh,
and I think this one really resonates because Mother's Day is coming up,
you
and
know.
it's called Mom. And he wrote, most people, if not all, love their mothers, fathers, sisters, and brothers. But a mother is the one who holds everyone so tight, stops all the fights, and cooks dinner every night. Now, look, nobody is perfect, and everybody deserves love and appreciation. No abbreviations. Love is something not everyone possesses. Most people repress it, but I can say for sure my mom gives more love than anyone perceives. She does so much for everyone you wouldn't even believe. People mostly look past her, but even the dog knows she's the master. Mom, I love you. And I want you to know I will always turn your seat heater on because I'm that much of a bastard. Talk about hot flashes. He would do that. And I'd be like, oh, and I'd look down and I'd smack him in the
Yeah. Why am I on fire? That's
I
so
thought that
good.
was kind of appropriate.
That's a great poem. That's beautiful. It really is.
Well, I do want to say thank you, Linda. And I think your tips and tools are going to be really helpful to all of our listeners. And they should really take you up on your offer to go to your website at lindastevens.com.
Linda M.
And Linda M. Stevens.
Linda M.
Don't
Yep.
forget the M for mastery.
Yes.
Midlife mastery.
That's right.
Linda M. Stevens. And also SOS radio.live. You can go on to SOS Stories of Survivors and you can rate me, you can donate, you can like the story, you can subscribe. And remember, SOS Stories of Survivors, where survival sparks the soul. Thank you so much for joining us today, and I'll see you next week.
Thanks, Serena.